Good evening from Bordeaux. Don't do this in the evening very much, but I had another walk, that's always a dangerous thing for me. Walked along the river up to the Grand Bourse, marvelous evening, lots of runners out. It's spring is threatening again. But when you take walks, ideas occur. And thinking back on how irritated some of you have been about National Socialism being inverted as socialist nationalism, I thought I'd make it more personal, easier to throw snowballs at if that's what you're into, but at the same time make it more vivid. And that is the suggestion, however unlikely, that that Karl Marx and Nick Fuentes need to get married. Ideologically, of course. I'm not talking about children. Now, conceptual children, perhaps. Conception, interesting word, isn't it? Concept. So, and why would that be? And the reason, very simply, is that one of the consequences of Nick Fuentes is revelation of a landscape of American unhappiness and, oddly enough, English unhappiness with the threat, the demographic threat to white majority rule, on the one hand, and therefore refining the whole question of nationalism from ethnic into ethnic nationalism from civic nationalism. Again, these distinctions are rich and suggestive and useful to get a better handle on what we're trying to do. But at the same time, they are unhappy with capitalism. But conservatism, free market liberalism, has robbed the right of any notion of a mechanism of how to control capitalism. Their antipathy toward the state means they're basically helpless before this sort of thing. They have the individual and their communities which are exposed to economic forces beyond their control, and they're unhappy but helpless. So when you talk about populist nationalism, economically speaking, there is the left and the argument that we have neglected for a long time, which is socialism. I'm talking about German socialism, not Leninism, not state, not Stalinism, of course not, but German, Marx, the humanist. And relatedly to this whole notion of control is not so much what Marx proposed to do about it, but his very vivid conception of the power of capitalism and the fact that it's a wild beast and it needs to be ridden. So from an American context, maybe there's analogies in Europe, but I think the Europeans are way ahead of us here. And that is the two Roosevelts, Teddy and Franklin. Teddy Roosevelt's war on the trusts, on breaking up monopolies. Silicon Valley. Does it need a Teddy Roosevelt, a Rough Rider? And at the same time, FDR with the social security network of when things go bad. Is there someone to help you? Is the state there to help? So these two notions give us a kind of proto-socialism in the sense that capitalism has to be controlled. Left to its own devices is just, as I say, a wild beast. And at the same time, society, because of the unevenness, distribution, inequalities, what happens, must be resisted. And in that sense, FDR provided us a means. I think we need to be bolder still, but it's a good way. And Americans are familiar with the two Roosevelts if they'd learned any history at all in school, and therefore this is a beginning. But this is why I'm talking about wedding bells between these two most unlikely people, Karl Marx and Nick Fuentes. Ding dong.